What an absolutely mad weekend for professional wrestling. Obviously, SmackDown was crazy with title changes and returns, and you had Wrestle Dream, which is what everybody's talking about on social media. I've been having way too much fun with that. Please do forgive me. And then on Raw, of course, we have Seth Rollins giving up his World Championship because he is injured. Before we get into any conversation, all the best to Colby Lopez, I think his real name is. I shouldn't do that, but I like to sometimes, decipher between the real and the not real, because that's way more important than storylines or booking, whoever the flub becomes the new champion. I hope he is okay, because he has busted his ass for WWE. But we did get that Raw. Some things were good, some things were not so good. We are going to talk about it, and as you are here, if you hit that subscribe button, I'd massively appreciate it. We do videos most every day. We sit down, we have a fun old chat, and we always remember that wrestling is the most important, the least important things, because why not be a positive Pete with something that's meant to bring us so much joy? But as for now, let's talk Raw. Because yes, first thing we saw was Adam Pearce coming out and saying Seth Rollins is apparently already undergone surgery. I don't know whether that's true or not, but of course, within the confines of the narrative we're trying to tell, he has. And he has to give up the belt. That sucks, especially when you remember everything that happened at SummerSlam. Some people are still saying, oh, it could be a big ruse. That would be the worst ruse ever. The whole point of doing the trick in the first place was to win the title. If you then did it again to lose the title, then win it back, that would be so terrible. I may actually take a week or 2 weeks off from wrestling and then come back to it after the fact. I don't think that's the case. I think Seth Rollins is done for a good old while. I think when he comes back, he will be a babyface. Obviously, Becky Lynch had that clash with Paul Heyman where they strongly insinuated that. Then out come the Vision, Bron Breakker, Paul Heyman, and Bronson Reed. This I found a little bit wishy-washy, like anything that a company has to do when you've had to change major plans. Get out of jail free card, you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm never going to criticize it too much because this is not what they were planning to do 7 days ago, and now they've got to come up with something new. But we kind of put all the heat, for lack of a better term, on Paul Heyman, and then we also sort of retroactively changed what the story was. Maybe I'm wrong. As I always say, I'm not entirely smart. I can be stupid here and there. I thought Bron Breakker just decided last week, I'm done with this, you selfish goober. He spears Seth Rollins, and he tells Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed, with me against me, and they decide, you know what, let's form our own little group. And then here, Paul Heyman was like, oh, Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker have been planning this for ages. Now, that's what they were going to do, but that's not what we saw transpire on television. I also think Bron Breakker should have taken over, right? NWO style. I don't mind Paul Heyman doing the talking for most of it, but he should have grabbed that microphone and said, oh man, I'm coming for that world championship. Because again, he came out with it on his shoulder, and the only reason he gave it back to Adam Pearce is because Paul Heyman made him, and because they made Adam Pearce said please. Which I actually tied in. This was a 1-2 punch, so we do have to talk about both. But Bron Breakker didn't really do anything but stare in the opening segment. And I just think, especially because Jacob Fatu's just got injured and has to go away, even if only for a few weeks, he still has to go away. So he can't go full in with that push. Given that this is a nice reminder that you never know what's going to happen with wrestling, I would have just turned Bron Breakker into the biggest deal, and I would have had him champion by the end of the month. But instead, Adam Pearce was so annoyed that they had been so mean to him about please and thank yous. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker were taken out of the Battle Royal, which was also announced to confirm the second number one contender, because of course CM Punk has it in his deal that he's the first number one contender. I understand why WWE did this from a behind-the-scenes point of view. They clearly think, no, let's stick to whatever we were going to do with Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. I'm sure Bron Breakker's going to be the champion within the next 6 months, but I would have just looked at this like it's not a gift horse lying in your lap or landing in your lap because Seth Rollins got injured. But there are pros that sometimes you can take, and I would have just gone, we have a get-out-of-jail-free card here. We can fly by the seat of our pants. We have a safety net. Let's make Bron Breakker the champion or put him in a feud with CM Punk, and then they can do whatever the flub and see if it works. You've got Paul Heyman as a mouthpiece. You've got Bronson Reed as his heavy. We didn't do any of that, and they on the graphic, surely that should be a contractual thing, but they get taken out because essentially they were petulant towards Adam Pearce. And then there was an interesting part later when Paul Heyman was talking to them. They were like, why are we out of the match? You're meant to be sorting this stuff. And Paul Heyman went down sort of mystery lane, like history lane. And he was all like, look what I did for Brock Lesnar back in 2002. Look what I did for CM Punk in 2012. Look what I did for Roman Reigns, who became the tribal chief. Don't worry about the small things. Let me worry about those. And you'll become huge successes. I think that is probably yet another seed planted because eventually Bron Breakker's going to murder him and Bronson Reed's going to do it too. Somebody said that Brock Lesnar may become the new leader of the Vision. No way, man. That doesn't work at all because he wouldn't be the leader because the leader has to talk and cut massive promos. Bron Breakker can be a less is more guy if Heyman's going to stay around, much like we did with Brock and Paul Heyman way back when. But I don't think you need to throw that in there. I think that marginalizes Brock Breaker even more. If anything, Brock Breaker should take on Brock Lesnar and beat him. Maybe that's the plan for WrestleMania still. Somebody once said that it was. All of this was fine. I just think we could have gone balls to the wall, much like we did with Ilya Dragunov on SmackDown. Like, let's do something big and let's see if this does click. And again, all it would have been was Bron Breakker winning the Battle Royal. He then goes to take on CM Punk. Doesn't have to win the belt there. None of them do. Maybe there's going to be big shenanigans. Maybe the title's going to be held off. There's 1,000 things that you could do. But sort of having them not really involved, why didn't they run out during the Battle Royal? They'd run out in every other single match, right? But here they're like, no, we must respect the sanctity of wrestling, which I didn't sound ups and downs. That's just popped into my brain now. So make sure you check out that too, so you can yell at me, go, Simon, how could you forget that? Again, I'm exaggerating my voice here a little bit. It certainly wasn't bad, and everything they did was perfectly fine, but maybe they played it more safe than the advantage that they could have done, given that poor Seth Rollins had got injured. But again, all the love to Seth Rollins. That's the most important thing. Becky Lynch, like I say, went to Paul Heyman and said he knew you were going to do this. What'd you call him? Like a penguin flubber or something? She also said, whichever Nepo baby you attach yourselves to, he's going to kill him. She said kill. This wasn't some like sort of nice flowery language that they sometimes use, like eviscerate. She said kill, so the police should have been called. We wait and see, right? I hate that phrase. I know that wrestling people use it all the time, but there's so much we can do here before Saturday Night's main event. Otherwise, I suppose we got to talk about the flipping main event. So we had this Battle Royal. Now, first and foremost, there were some random people in this. Rusev was in it, even though he just lost the Intercontinental title match. Sheamus came back. I thought that was a waste. Like, I like the fact, in some ways, he got included, because why wouldn't you go for the championship? But he's Sheamus. I think he should be in much bigger stories. And who else? It was Ivar. Was it Eric? No, I think it was Ivar. Where was Eric? War Raiders. Nobody knows. And then Penta and Grayson Waller and Kofi Kingston and Otis was back. And I forgot loads of people. The main takeaway points are, earlier in the night, Dominic Mysterio had retained his IC title after Penta and Rusev had got into it. He threw both of them out. I thought that was wonderful. He also pulled an Austin from the Final Four. Not the Final Four. The Final Four was because of this. The 97 Royal Rumble. Got chucked out in the ring, got back in, even though everybody else saw it apart from the official. And he made it to the final two. But early in the night, Jimmy and Jay had a conversation where they kind of made up. And Jimmy had even said, oh man, I'm going to do whatever I have to do in that Battle Royal. And Jay was like, all right, I'll do the same. But they had some brotherly love. And Jimmy Uso did save his brother a lot here. And then as soon as him and LA Knight were tangled up in the ropes, Jey Uso went, nope. And he pushed them out. Thought that was really good. Thought it ties into this Roman Reigns-esque character that Jay is starting to play. It's why I think LA Knight could be involved in Saturday Night's main event, because he was marginalized on this show too, didn't do a lot. However, that's now twice in a row he's technically been screwed over by Jay. Sure, he's doing it within the realms of the rules, but if you're LA Knight, you'd be like, man, I'm this close to the World Championship, and it's you, Jey Uso, who always gets in the way. And then, of course, you act like Dominic's going to win, but Jay just chucked him to the outside. AJ Styles also got eliminated by both Usos. That was good, right? It's a good way to do it, because people love the Usos, and obviously people love AJ Styles. It was a really fun Battle Royal. Like, it was. Nothing to write home about. It's not going to change your life. CM Punk was on commentary, which is always good. I like that they got time. I like that everybody got entrances, because that does make you feel like a nothing if you just appear in the ring. And obviously, Jey Uso winning is controversial. Like, it's happened already. The internet has gone digging and found that, look how many dislikes there are on a YouTube video. I'm not sure that is... I mean, it's an interesting thing to talk about, but it's not the be-all and end-all. I don't have a problem with this at all. If Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed weren't going to be involved, and we've already gone over that, so let's not do it again, why not do Jey Uso versus CM Punk, especially because if Jey Uso is going to turn heel, or if LA Knight is going to turn heel, I'm still convinced that one of them is going to turn heel. I actually think this is the opportunity to do it. I don't think that Jey Uso will beat CM Punk. In fact, now I think CM Punk should win. I think Bron Breakker should beat him down the line. But Jey Uso can either use this to go super dark side, or LA Knight could be part of that shenanigans, as would Jimmy Uso, who could also turn heel. I think one of those three is turning heel, and I actually think this match is going to open the door to do that. And if WWE does pull that off, then everybody can zip off into their own separate directions, because of course Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker will be involved in that match too. I think it's going to be shenanigans central. I don't think it's the worst. And this is, I'm going to say it again, you should get mad at me in the comments, I think this one we got to let play out. I know, but it's only 2 weeks or whatever it is until Saturday Night's main event. If it doesn't do this, then sure, we should come back and revisit it. But there is something intriguing to me about CM Punk versus Jey Uso, as long as LA Knight doesn't get forgotten in the shuffle. That's what I mean. If he's not involved, he doesn't say anything, and you'd be like, man, well, he just totally thrown him out the window, which makes no sense. But Jimmy Uso's clearly going to be mad about this. And if Jimmy Uso's allowed to be mad, LA Knight should be allowed to be mad, because he also got tumbled out of there. Like, they didn't do LA Knight. If you wanted to get rid of Jimmy Uso, right, and that was the story for Jay, it could have been him Otis, right? Who else was in the thing? Grayson Waller, right? Kofi Kingston. You could have done it with that. There's a very specific reason we did it with LA Knight. One, it kind of protects those two, sort of close to the top of the card than the middle of the card. And Jey Uso was the guy to do it. So now he's got beef with his brother. He's got beef with this other babyface, but they both have sort of attitude tendencies to them. So there is a lot to like about this, but once again, I just think the Bron Breakker thing would have been better. I think we just belt up CM Punk now, though. Of course, he won the belt at SummerSlam, so just do it again. Again, it doesn't matter now. Maybe it would have been better to do it at WrestleMania. Maybe it would have been better to do it at the Royal Rumble, wherever the hell you had planned. But that's not the world we're living in anymore. Those plans are gone. They are eradicated, right? To use that word. Whatever WWE was going to do, they can't because they don't have Seth Rollins, who was essentially the linchpin of Monday Night Raw. Let's give it to CM Punk. Let him feud with Bron Breakker. Let the Usos and LA Knight do their thing, and the winner of that should then be ready to take on somebody here as well. People love CM Punk. I think he's probably the biggest babyface on Raw. Am I forgetting anybody? I don't think so. Roman Reigns is not around right now, which is also weird. He got killed by Bronson Reed. So put the belt. You took it off your biggest heel on the Monday nights. Put it on your biggest babyface. Just reverse it. And listen, there's every chance Drew McIntyre is about to beat Cody Rhodes at Saturday Night's Main Event. That is a tall guess, right? I'm just kind of pulling that out of midair. But I don't think it would be outside the realms of possibility given what happened with Jacob for 2. So let's just switch the roles. Bad guy champ on SmackDown, good guy champ on Raw. It's not like WWE is lighting the world up at the moment. It's not bad, but the creative was certainly better last year. I mean, it's ages ago now. Let's just reset the deck with all of this, but now I sound like I'm being way too disparaging. I like this episode of Raw. Really like this Battle Royal. I thought it was great to have somewhat overdone stipulation match because, in the old WWE, they just used them all the time for no reason. Given this one made you become the number one contender and keeping Jey at the top of the card, maybe I'm the outlier. I still like Jey, and I actually like him more at the moment because he's got this weird edge to him, not Adam Copeland. He went to AEW. So it's a couple of thumbs for me. I really enjoyed it. I never check social media until I've watched Raw because it's so easy for your brain to sort of be steered in a certain direction. Was surprised that so many people were mad about this, but then I remembered Jey Uso winning the title at WrestleMania. I do worry about that crowd a bit. Again, you're allowed your opinions. But even if you don't like Jey, it would be nice if you could celebrate the fact that somebody random won that Royal Rumble and won the championship, because somebody else will come along at some point and catch fire from nowhere. And once again, the old WWE wouldn't have done this. The new WWE has proven that they have, but if there's too much backlash, they may stop doing it. I never want that to happen. If Tozawa all of a sudden catches fire, I want Tozawa to become the world champion. I'm not joking. It doesn't matter. If wrestling is all about moments, especially in WWE, where you got to capture those and you got to do it in a big net. Actually, quite an eventful Raw as well, because AJ Styles and Dragon Lee won the tag team titles. I realised in retrospect they had to, because if they don't, who the flub are Finn Balor and JD McDonough going to fight? It was not a good tag title reign. It was not their fault. It has not been any of the tag team faults in 2025. It is just a forgotten about division. And I don't understand why, because back at WrestleMania 39 or 38, no, 39, it was so damn good. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee are obviously awesome. AJ Styles retiring next year. It's very much sort of like the old guard or the new guard. I kind of feel like we did this because Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker are going to win those titles, and that's why we've kind of removed Bron and Bronson from that world title scene, because the rumor was that's what WWE were going to do anyway. It's much easier for heels to take titles on baby faces to get the necessary heat, whereas obviously JD and Finn Balor are sort of heels, but I think people quite like the Judgment Day because they're funny. Either way, seeing a title change is never a bad thing, especially because now, unless we screw it up again, you'll have fire under these championships for a few weeks, because that's what happens when you do change the deck. Also a really fun match. Rusev versus Dominic Mysterio. I mean, listen, I love Rusev, you know that, but Dominic Mysterio winning this was the right thing to do. Penta coming out was nuts. So Dominic was like, screw this, I'm going to leave. Penta stopped him. Why do you care, man? Whichever one wins, you can probably get a match with them. And then Rusev punched him right in the face. I was like, Penta is the worst plan of all time. Dominic Mysterio's just gone full on Eddie Guerrero now. He had Timmy the Timekeeper's hammer in his shoe. Rusev finds it. Official gets mad. Dominic then whacks him right in the balls. 619. Frogger splash. 1, 2, 3. I just think Dominic Mysterio is the man. Apparently, he's going to be taking on John Cena, either Survivor Series or there won't be Saturday Night's Main Event, I doubt, probably Survivor Series. And then John Cena could either win the Intercontinental Championship. Again, that's mostly fantasy booking, nothing confirmed. I kind of want Dominic Mysterio to win. I think I'll do that on a separate video, but Dominic is just great. And even when he got chucked out of the Royal Rumble and got back in, everybody cheered. That may be something that we do need to address. And it back-to-back with another IC title match, because right after that, we got Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree is great. But it's perfectly simple, and we won't be talking about it in another week, and ended with Becky just hitting her with the title, which really made me giggle because she was like a child. I don't think Maxine Dupree all of a sudden needs to be held into a sort of IC championship run. I do think, given she had no friends hit, it will be the returning AJ Lee that saves her when they have a third match. You have to now. We didn't get a winner here. And then Becky and AJ can spin off into that, and that'll be awesome, and AJ will probably win the championship. But I don't think we should forget about Maxine. We've kind of built her up now. I understand we're in our hometown, but people just love her, and she's so good at getting sympathy, and she's such a great underdog. I think people want her to do well, and I think you kind of need that emotion pouring out of you if you are going to be a good guy, which she is. So yeah, I just think you can do one more match, and Becky Lynch can win, and Becky Lynch can be completely nefarious with the way that she does it. Beep, 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 beep. Here comes AJ Lee. Maybe AJ Lee's not coming back. That's another conversation that people were having. Where did she go? I do think it needs to be addressed more. I did a whole video on this, and one guy went, I can't believe you put CM Punk and AJ Lee in the thumbnail. So I don't make a thumbnail, make the video. Most of the time, my ideas, I'm just walking along my stupid life, and I'm like, they have been gone from TV. Like after WrestlePalooza, I don't mind wrestlers having time off, but nobody mentioned them on commentary. I don't care if it's AEW, WWE. If you're a big old star, and CM Punk and AJ Lee at that point were two of the biggest, you just need little things here and there so they keep in brain. Otherwise, if you just start watching wrestling, she comes back, you're like, who the hell is this? I do not understand. So that's why I said it. I think, and now surprised on people, where are AJ Lee? See? I was just ahead of the game. I shouldn't point to you. That's super duper rude. But I do think that will happen. But we don't know. Maybe she's injured. Maybe she doesn't want to do it. Maybe she needs more time to get back in ring shape because she didn't get that much notice for WrestlePalooza. I want to start asterisking these things. We can talk about it and speculate, but so many people talk about them in absolutes, like WWE, how dare you, or AEW, how dare you? And then a perfectly valid reason comes out and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone nuts. And then some people that do similar jobs to me act like they're always waiting and doing research. Then as soon as they can, they get out first as well, and they totally ruin it. I tell you, man. Hypocritical content creators, never let me be a hypocrite. Unless in terms of storylines, that's fine. I don't mind one wrestler doing something one week and you hate it, and then you get a week later and we get it from a different wrestler and you like it. That's just brains. But with the more all-encompassing stuff, don't let it. That was unnecessary. I mean, that was really basically everything that happened on Raw. That Battle Royal, as it should have done, took up a massive chunk of time. And we just started telling the story of Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker like we've already talked about. We did have Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne Perez. Match was good. Don't like anything else to do with this. I think it feels rushed. I don't think it makes that belt any more important. And she's the world champion. I think the story should be up here. We just forgot that she beat Tiffany Stratton. That's just been thrown out the window. Nikki Bella returning is fine. That's going to be the next program. It was the funniest thing ever. And I will do one of my producing promos for this because I was in tears watching it normally. It's going to be on TikTok, and I'll try and get other social media, but mostly TikTok. Simon Miller, search for me there. I think they're funny. It's just me pretending to be a backstage producer as if I was making these. Check them out. If you laugh, great. If you don't, you never have to watch them again. But Nikki Bella may as well have gone, I'm going to turn on you. I mean, maybe she went deliberately over the top because she's not going to do it. But she's like, man, I've got your back. When I wake up in the morning, I think about taking care of you. They want to buy you dinner. They want to buy you a birthday present. It's not even your birthday. And Steph was like, oh yeah, great. Sounds wonderful. She's going to punch her right in the face. I mean, Roxanne Perez now I kind of think is in a difficult position. She's so great, she'll be fine. She loses last week. She loses here. How can she ever challenge for a championship without some successive wins? Maybe Liv Morgan's going to come back soon, so we're shifting her to one side. And the Bayley Lyra Valkyria thing is just one of the strangest programs for a while. It's why I like it, if I'm honest with you. It's totally batshit crazy. But Lyra's talking to Anna Pierce going, that Bayley's weird. And then Bayley walks in and goes, it's your birthday next week and I'm throwing you a surprise. The birthday girl goes, no, don't do that. And Bayley goes, nah, I'm going to do it anyway. This lasted 5 seconds. Before I forget, the Oscar vignette with Kairi Sane was flipping brilliant. I imagine that WWE's had to take a pause because Rhea Ripley broke her nose. I hope she's okay. If anyone deserves time off, it's those four. They've been stalwarts for the last couple of months. Oscar was so good in this. And Kairi Sane went from, yeah, Oscar, to please don't kill me. Some of the best stuff on TV. Oscar, one of the best heels right now. I liked Raw. I did. I thought it was decent. Of course, as well, we're in putting out fires mode too. I think next week's episode is going to be more interesting because what does LA Knight do? What does Jey Uso do? CM Punk and Jey Uso, I'm sure, will have their big face-to-face. So at least I'm intrigued and I want to see where it's going to go. Again, just because you're not pushing the people that I think you should push or my favourites may not be in a particular position doesn't mean you can't sit there and enjoy it for what it is. And I thought it was a decent episode of Raw. Some elements that weren't for me, but still, in the 2.5 hours or however long it lasted, never felt bored, never felt like I wanted to change the channel or put it on 2-speed, as some people tell me they do. I wouldn't necessarily I don't want to say the WWE's in a good place because of the Seth Rollins thing. I think it's a massive shame, as is the Jake of a 2 thing. But I think you can take advantage of that. I think Ilya Dragunov is a good example, and I think, the Jey Uso CM Punk, I do find interesting because it is two baby faces, but CM Punk obviously is the bigger baby face. I think CM Punk should win the belt. And of course, if you disagree with me, drop me a comment down there because there'll be a massive discourse to have about this and we'd have to yell at each other. And mostly on this channel, we don't. So it's nothing like social media. Also, please do like the video, share the video, subscribe, click the video on the screen, which are my thoughts on Ilya Dragunov winning the US title. Otherwise, what can you do? I mean, interact as best as possible. NordVPN.com/Simon Miller. You know what you can do with that. You can obviously get a NordVPN deal, then watch on Netflix, get a bit cheaper. Maybe. Apparently, we don't know. There's no confirmation about that at all. Patreon.com/Simon316. Watch alongs $5. Grillermind.com/Simon. You could Simon get 10% off. Ships worldwide. Best fitness supplements. Some are 30% off right now. If you don't like them, come tell me I'm full of it. You won't do that because they're great. Otherwise, I wouldn't promote them. Simon316 on social media and the TikTok and the cameos and the Patreons and all of these things. Come and get whatever the flub you want, and Pro Wrestling Tees is the same. I appreciate you. I've had a good weekend. I just have fun with social media. I think some people think I'm having some kind of a meltdown. I am, but it's a joyful meltdown. And I think it's because mainly here in our core community, it's positive, it's fun, and we can look at each other in the face and say, I don't agree with you, good sir or good ma'am. That's totally okay, because we're happy to chat about it. Have lovely days, my friends. I appreciate you. See you throughout the week.